So evening time comes, she thought she'd better get back and prepare a supper for her husband and her children. She went back, and again, the Creator could smell a strange sense, and she acted very strangely towards him. And so he began to teach his children. He said, these are some things that we've got to learn. And so while teaching them, he kind of kept an eye on his wife. This kept occurring. Every day she'd go back and she'd stomp 4 times, that man appear. They'd embrace like husband and wife. The Creator got very suspicious. And so one morning, he got up very early and he went back. He took his sons out. He went back. He said that they were going. He hid his sons and he went back into the brush to watch her. And sure enough, she came. She came over and she stomped 4 times on the ground, and that snake man appeared. And so the Creator watched him embrace. It made him very angry, and so he went back to his sons, and he began to teach them. He said, I'm going to teach you because we're going to have to leave this country soon. And so they went back for supper that night. She was there acting very mysteriously. They had their supper, they laid down, went to sleep. But the Creator, he got up very early, before anybody else, and he went back to that area where he seen her stomp on the ground, and that snake man appeared. So the Creator, he went back, and he stomped 4 times, and that snake man appeared. When he appeared, the Creator cut his throat, drug him from that area some distance, and cut him up into very small pieces, and burnt him. And he made sure none of the sparks flew off in any direction. He kept them all gathered. If a spark flew off, that person could be created again. So he kept all the ashes very close. And then he went back and he laid back down to the camp like nothing happened. And so they get up, she'd get up, she began to prepare them breakfast. They ate, and they went off their way, and she went back. All this time, the Creator's been teaching his sons, in a case of emergency, what they had to do. Now, they all had a special task they had to do. So the Creator had them prepared. He said, this may be the day that we may have to use those teachings that I taught you, because we may have to leave here in a hurry. And so she went back to that area where she gathered the roots, and she couldn't wait to see her friend, the snake man. She went up and she stomped on the ground 4 times, and she stepped back. Nothing happened. So again she went up and she stomped 4 times. Still nothing happened. And she began to look around, curious. Again she stomped, very hard this time. She was getting very nervous. Nothing happened, so she began to look around. She walked over in this area, over that way, and over in this area, and walked way over in that area. And she was walking through the area over here, and she found a pile of ashes. And she knew that was her lover. She screamed at the top of her lungs. She said, I'm going to kill all of you. I'm going to kill all of you. And that scream was heard by the Creator and his sons. And it said, it's time to leave. And so they took off running. And so she took off running after him. Had a knife in her hand. She had very special powers which the Creator has given to her. So she was very fast, and she was running, and she was chasing him, screaming at the top of her lungs. The youngest boy being Pink Body. And she said, I'm going to kill Pink Body first and the rest of you. And she was running and running almost to him. And the Creator told one of his sons, take that stick and draw a line in the ground. So this boy drew a line in the ground, and when that line was finished, that's when all the earth rumbled and it shook, and that's when all the canyons came to be, and all the deep valleys in the Grand Canyon, and all these coulees. That's how they were created. And so she had to run through all these coulees and these canyons and these ditches. And after she finished that, she took off running after him again. She was running and running and caught up with them. Didn't take her too long. And so the Creator, almost to Pink Body again, and the Creator hollered to his son, take that rock and throw it over your head. And so that boy did. When that rock hit the ground, and the earth trembled and rumbled again, and that's when all the mountains came to be. The Rocky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, and all the big hills that you see in this country. That's how they were created. And so she had to go through these valleys and over these mountains. And again, she started chasing them. And they were running, and they were getting tired. They were running and running and running. And so the Creator, almost to him again, she had her knife up, about ready to stab Pink Body right in the back like that. She's all had her hand up and almost reached him like that. And he hollered at one of his sons, "Take that bladder of air and throw it over your shoulder." When his son threw that bladder of air over his shoulder and he hit the ground, that's when the wind came. The wind blew her back, way back into the mountains and into the valleys. The wind kept her in there for a long time, but she had a lot of power. And she got through the wind and through the mountains and through those coulees and start chasing them again. They're running and running and running as fast as they could go. And again, the Creator seen her coming and almost to him again, screaming and loud as she could, "I'm going to kill you." She's so angry over the death of her friend, her lover. Almost to him, so the Creator told his one son to throw that stick over his head. And when that stick landed, that's when all the trees came to be. She had to go through the trees and through the wind and over the mountains and through the canyons, and she started chasing them again. My goodness, by this time, those boys were getting very tired. They were getting tired of running. They didn't have no time for entertainment or resting or even eating a decent meal. They were frightened because their mother was going to kill them. So again, she started chasing them, followed them. It took them a long time to catch up with them. This time when she caught up with them, she was twice as angry. Her hair was all pushed out. Her eyes were all bulged out, and she had such anger in her, and she was going to kill her son. Almost to him again, and screaming and raging mad, and had her knife up like that, about ready to come down. He told his son to take that bladder of water and throw it over his shoulder. When that bladder of water hit, that's when all the oceans came to be, and the lakes, and the rivers, and the creeks, and the streams all came to be upon this earth. And so she had to swim through the water, over these canyons, through the trees, and to face the wind. By this time, the Creator and his sons were awful tired. They had to go somewhere and live in peace. And so the Creator said, "This is made the plan. This is what we got to do." So she was almost up on him, and he started shooting his sons up into the sky, his 7 boys. One by one, they were shooting up into the sky. And the last one was Pink Body, and he started shooting up, and she also had the power to go up into the sky. And she reached up and grabbed his leg, and he was about ready to knife him in the back. And the Creator come by with his knife, and he cut her in the leg, and she flew off one direction. And the youngest son, he continued, caught up with the rest of the boys, and they flew up. And you can see those boys up there today. Those are what the 7 brothers, also known as the Big Dipper. And you can see her today. She would be the night light, or the moon. And if you look at the moon very closely, you can just make out a figure of a woman in there, and her leg is bent. The reason why it's bent, because it was cut. And that cut today represents the woman. At a certain time of the month, she'll have moon time. And so that's the reason why. And he shot off, and you can see him up there today, is the sun. And today he is married to what we call the Mother Earth. And so that's the creative story of our people.